do that. Okay, so I'm just going to go up there and introduce Greg Pond up here.
You may not be aware of it. I may not be aware of it. Hal Robbins may not be aware of it. Ed like you is aware of it. Garrett Murphy is aware. And you're aware that I'm aware that you're aware. I'm aware that you are aware. But we're now announcing in like roundabout way the introduction of the second half, in which Greg Pond is going to kick it off. And Greg Pond is an honorable member of this society, so-called. Give a round of applause for the honorable, the esteemable, the honorable, the wonderful, the capable, the dreamy-eyed Greg Pond.
An octagon of applause.
The octagonable.
No.
Ready? The Abused Muse. In quest of his greatest masterpiece, a wild and crazy artist seeks the flick of a thick bristled brush to beat broad strokes of crimson flush across crumbled sheets and scarlet cheeks, where hints of frustration and bittersweet inspiration rub the morning raw and swollen shut up and drunk too early in the day. Black-eyed Susan sits alone musing, blowing blues through the window while he vividly paints last night's bruises away. In hues of purple passion and violet violence, as fingers fling flecks tainted red from cracked palate and rough "I'm sorry" sex, fractured and captured in vibrant color by numbered, backhanded and spilled on smudged palate, left arm twisted in sling, covering brilliant tint over thick coat hiding scratches on broken skin, with splashes of blush under eyes to disguise signs from swings of batter up, causing brief losses of conscious sight. Until one night, an accidental smear sparked another vicious fight. With pent-up rage no longer contained, single shot sent snap, crackle, pop. A flash of hot light, a hole through the heart wide as a canvas sky, spattered and splattered across his last masterpiece, while she calmly awaits the arrival of the police and for the blood and paint to dry. Ice Cream Crush. First came the lust, which was what attracted me. But then this latest crush got too cozy for my ease. With clothes left overnight, 3 days a week, then month to month, and finally mixed with mine so conveniently at laundry time. My new blue sweater now stretched to your size, folded with half my socks, odd paired in balls and chucked in an overstuffed cedar box that I never said you could use. Did you ask if you could move from a hook on the back of the bathroom door to a squeeze in the bottom chest drawer, next to your 5 pairs of shoes on the floor, and I don't know whose shirts are whose anymore? You play all-day video games, but rarely ever win. I gain excess baggage whenever my wardrobe thins, while all the while you stay tied, fresh, well-dressed, and neat as a pin. Unemployed, but happy with glee. My refrigerator is now empty enough to fit me. No frozen foods, no only beer can shows. The sex isn't even as good as it once felt. What I thought was solid love is just a cone of Haagen-Dazs. Lick it quickly before it melts.
Big Pond!
Alan Harris,
Oh my God, it's Alan Harris.
followed by Melissa Mella after Alan.
Thank you. That was good. We like that.
Everyone wants to be a star, but what you really want to be, or what you should really want to be, is Harry Dean Stanton. He was, among other things, the greatest actor who ever lived. I don't know if Laurence Olivier ever saw Harry Dean act, but if he did, I imagine that afterwards he went home, curled up into the fetal position and wept, because he suddenly realized that he'd been doing this acting thing all wrong. Harry Dean's career began in the 50s when, at the age of 30, he played a juvenile delinquent in a TV show, and he pulled it off. In the 60s, at the age of 40, he was in some ridiculous biker film where everyone else in the cast was half his age, and he pulled it off. In the 70s, he had a minuscule part in Godfather 2. His total time on screen probably added up to 5 minutes in a film that was almost 3 hours long and which starred some of the finest film actors of all time: Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Robert Duvall. And yet, I can't imagine the film without Harry Dean in it. In the 80s, he starred in Repo Man, the Citizen Kane of low-budget LA punk rock science fiction satire cult films, and the world hasn't been the same since, whether the world knows it or not. Yeah, that's right. Your life has been profoundly affected by Harry Dean Stanton. He has crept into both your conscious mind and your subconscious, and every thought you have, every decision you make has somehow been influenced by him. He was the American character writ large. He was, quite simply, what we should all be: weird, philosophical, hard-living, incredibly talented, and completely physically unattractive. He didn't need looks. He was Harry Dean Stanton. He was in possession of such supreme talent and screen presence that anything he appeared in, even a piece of shit John Hughes film like Pretty in Pink, became a Harry Dean Stanton movie. He was a transparent enigma. He didn't want you to know him, but he showed himself to you anyway in every one of his performances. You gotta love Harry Dean. It's the law. You knew him, you loved him, and in his own strange way, he loved you too. I hate to sound like a fan, and that's because I'm not. I'm a believer. Yeah, that's right. Harry Dean Stanton was my religion. And when I heard that he died, I lost a part of my psyche, my spiritual DNA. He was 91 when he left the realm of the living. But in Harry Dean's case, time in the chronological sense didn't matter. He came out of the womb with that 5 o'clock shadow and those bags under his eyes, a bottle of whiskey in one hand and a cigarette burning in the other. That must have been a very difficult delivery. But it was worth it because it brought Harry Dean Stanton into the world. Unfortunately, I never met the man. I just worship him. And from what I know about him, I'm guessing that he would have had a problem with that. That he would have looked at me as a loser for having subsumed my own identity in order to be worshipful of another, even or especially if that other was him. Well, fuck you, Harry Dean Stanton. I'll worship you if I want to. You got a problem with that? Too bad. It's your own fault for being so goddamn cool. Oh yeah, and rest in peace. I am right now experiencing a sadness so deep, so profound, bottomless and all-encompassing, of such magnitude and intensity that I am physically ill. Oh yeah, I'm gonna hurl. And I'm going to hurl with such force and velocity that it will spew forth, travel the length of the room, and spray all over you people sitting in the back. And it will be a vomit that is the result of a sadness that is so intense that the vomit itself will become a person. And as I am now completely paralyzed by this sadness which has overtaken me, then this person composed entirely of my vomit, will become my vomit alter ego, my vomit doppelganger, and he will take over and perform my daily routine. He will drive my car, he will work at my job, he will pine for my ex-girlfriends, and he will probably be better at it than I am, despite his handicap of having an all-vomit composition. My friends will love him, my family will respect him, my boss will promote him, my ex-girlfriends will want to date him, he will be charming and fun and graceful, an upchuck Fred Astaire. He will be fearless and sensitive at all the right times, and no one will care that he is a big, disgusting pile of vomit, because he will be perfect in every other way. And he will never ever end up crawling across the floor, crying and begging for a chance to do it all over again, because he will have done it right the first time. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan Harris. Melissa Milan.
I have two poems. The first one is by a poet named Ashley Katz. I had to read her in college, but she's really good. She wrote this poem. It's about her dad's life, not hers. It's called God Bless Our Crop Dusted. God bless our crop dusted wedding cake. When my mother lifted her shirt to show the sunken grave of her breast, the fresh tarantula tattoo she'd chosen over reconstruction, I shuddered at first. The last bad joke she'd play on her body, chest half spider, fanged, half planetary. Lone red nipple circling like Jupiter's perpetual storm, and I but spectator to so much bad weather, like summer, 1967, when she roped me to the pier, when I was 10 and she was drunk in her bikini and wanted to watch the hurricane come in. The green sky spun like an automated car wash. Acorn barnacles oatmealed my back. A population of lobsters blew past like a rusty contents of a toolbox. Dad took one look at my rope burns and punched her. But Mom wore her bruises like high art, her broken nose a study in cubism, blue flowers blooming under her skin like watercolor. But there were times we acted like a family. Dad came home with a telescope and we watched the stars fall into the ocean like broken teeth. We sipped Jim Beam from muscular teacups, channeled my grandmother who finally showed up in her bank robber uniform, sweet smile pig-faced through the stocking, but dear nonetheless. Ours was the best-dressed scarecrow, in Dad's bowling shirt and Mom's peekaboo lace thong. The landscape was wrong for birds, but it kept Jehovah's Witnesses away, which is not to say we never prayed. When my mother knelt, I could hear her rattlesnake rattler earrings chatter like rosary beads in the darkness. She prayed for my sister to take the for sale sign off of her body and come home to sleep in a new pair of soft pajamas. My sister could not. So while it is true she has cleared the atmosphere celestial, left me gravity-strapped and mourning, blistered through cloud cover, while she has gifted me one schizoid father's government issue, ashes, one grey-eyed sister's prostitute bones, a brief family, history in cardboard, percussive teeth, and my double helix permanently scarred. While it is true she daily christened the oarless boat of my childhood, she never broke a single bottle against me. So if my mom shows up in her ghost bikini with both breasts intact and a lasso, chasing my neck through a sandstorm, I'll let her. I'll hand her a beer and watch my huge flip-flops fly off in the wind. I'm just getting over being sick, so sorry. I wrote this yesterday. It's still a work in progress. I'm going to try not to cry. A news story read, charred body found last week in backwoods of Missouri. 2 cisgendered women, with the help of 2 cisgendered white men, read Colonialism, Patriarchy, Trans Misogyny, White and Cis Supremacy, took torch to a trans woman in an attempt to extinguish evidence of her murder, in an attempt to extinguish evidence of her. Can you imagine a hatred cup so full up? Can you imagine a bloodthirst so sturdy, unyielding, vicious that a flood could never quench it? Sit there, close your eyes, imagine it. Close your eyes because you still have them and you can. She didn't when she burned because they gouged them out before they mutilated her genitals. I stagger here, struggle to imagine it myself, human, reduced to body. But then I remember that we live in a country whose selfdom is deeply pockmarked, built by oppressors forcing the oppressed like working dogs on stolen land. Mush. We are a people that tout uniqueness, but not too much. Lashed are those who threaten the heralding of homogeneity. Feared are those who diverge from the paved paths to the rough. I know you don't want to hear this. You, with your white, cisgendered privilege and your wine-laced ladies' nights brimming with stories of shared experience. You, with bellies full of hope and mouths full of laughter, spewing unruly residue over everything. I know you don't want to hear this. You, who dub women women by presence of tits, vagina, communal bleeding on full moons, felicitous posture, and come hither stride. I know you don't want to hear this. Yes, you. I know you scroll past these stories on your feed while you elbow fellow passengers on the train on your work commute in the morning, think, yes, this world is beautifully bruised and brutal, but I'm late, and I need another cup of coffee before I engage. I need to savor every sip without any more bad news. But do you? Do you savor it? Really? Or do you just sip and take up space? What you need to understand is that the violence perpetrated against transgender and gender nonconforming people must exist for the binary system to remain in place. This is not an accident. We perpetuate it with our silence every day. The media perpetuated it by identifying her by a male name. Human. Not was once identifiable by a male name. No, she will not be reduced to gender. Human. Not was once engaged to a woman. No, she will not be reduced to sexuality. Human. Not 21st transgender person to be murdered in the United States in 2017. No, she will not be reduced to statistic. Human. Not charred body found last week in backwoods of Missouri. No, she will not be reduced to body. Human. Her name was Allie Lee Steinfeld, and she was 17. Thank you.
Melissa?
Thank you. Thank you.
Gaia?
Oh, guys.
Oh, there she is. We have Gaia, then our mini Claude, then Karen, then Brittany, then Marty? Marty? Where's that? Who's Marty? Oh, thank you. Sorry about that. Oh, we did talk already.
And then the last word with Garrett.
And the last word with Karen. Thank you so
We've
much.
got 6 to go.
Okay, hi everybody.
Hello.
Well, hi, everybody. Hi. So let's go. So this weekend, September 30th, 2 to 6, Beat Museum, the annual exorcism of the money system, and 100,000 Poets for Change. Be there or be square. Is it 2 or 3?
3
2.
o'clock.
Oh, flyer
Anyway,
says 2.
3 o'clock, here's a flyer.
Oh, the flyer has this 2 to 6.
Is it 3 or
Does it say
2?
3 o'clock? It says 3 o'clock.
Are you talking about the Beat Museum? Yeah, I think it's 3 o'clock.
Oh, because the flyer I have that Phil Hackett gave me says 2 to 6.
Saturday.
It says 3 to 6. Could be 2 to 6.
Anyway.
It's 3 to 7 though, right?
What?
Oh, then
3
they,
to 7?
then they
No,
changed
it's
it
not
to
gonna be
what?
that long.
3 to 6.
No, it's supposed to be 2 to 6.
No, 3 to...
Well, I think you said 3 to
I'll tell you what, get there at 2:30 because it'll take a while to set.
There you go.
So,
Well, it starts at 3 and I'm not going to be there till 3 and I'm supposed to be putting it together, so...
Don't worry, I'm fine.
well, according to Phil Hackett, I am featuring before anything starts. He asked me to do it,
You are-
and I decided to do the annual exorcism of the money system, which I've done for the past 23 years. But I haven't been around here for the past
Okay, well, this is the program. I don't...
Okay, so let's deal with it afterwards.
So anyway, Phil Hackett asked me to do this feature at the last minute because I came to town and he doesn't know that.
All right.
Blah blah. But I did ask some of the poets in here to join me in that, and what I need from whoever wants to do this is just a little blurb about who you are. It can be like really creative, and then just kind of a little idea what you're doing so we can arrange it so that the exorcism goes smoothly.
So maybe you're having a different event before.
No,
Okay.
it's a feature.
Let's
and-
deal with it afterwards,
Yeah,
please.
I'll talk to you after because Phil Hackett's told me to do this. Okay, so the first annual exorcism of the money system happened because there were several suicides in North Beach in '94, and Kurt Cobain killed himself that week. People were killing themselves over not having enough money to get to the end of the month, and I was so pissed that I did the annual exorcism, which kind of got me into doing poetry because a bunch of people from that neighborhood saw me do it and were like, oh my god, we gotta get around the poetry scene. But this is a story that happened the day after, just so you know what kind of stuff it does. This is called Desolation Angels Revisited. It was the day after the first annual exorcism of the money system, and I was sitting in the Trieste chugging down my morning thick, smooth rocket fuel when I sensed a disturbance in the force, slouching towards Bethlehem, dying to be born. A Leonardo DiCaprio-looking kind of guy enters the cafe in a Stuart kilt, black leather vest, and punk rock mohawk. He scans the room, searching intensely for something, someone. He looks my way, gets that aha kind of look, raises his hand, points at me, and says, I'm looking for my punk rock girl, and I think you're the one. All heads in the cafe turned my way to see what's up. I said, nice kilt. He sits down at my table and says, you should see what's underneath this kilt. You and me, we could start a revolution just by existing, he says. He whips out his sketchbook and starts flipping through. Lots of maps of punk rock boy, tied up, bound by all kinds of stuff, getting dominated by, I guess, punk rock girl. I can tell we're in trouble because I'm a sub. Anyway, kind of goes on. That's all I got. I actually was in a book that I'd done back then. But the gist of the story is, I take punk rock boy home, and we have a wild time because there's all these old ladies in the cafe, like sitting next to me, like going, "Whoa, honey, you gotta go with this one." I'm just like, what's going on here? So I take him to my hotel room, really one of those dreadful Norfolk hotels, and he's fine. He's perfect. he's perfect. And then I saw him, and he kind of disappeared. And he came back with a baguette he had found in the dumpster somewhere, and invited me to have dinner with him. First time I ever ate a baguette out of a dumpster. And things did change around North Beach around the time. Anyway, I ended up doing the annual exorcism of the money system every year in honor of Cole, which is what he said his name was, and Ruben, who painted angels and killed himself because he didn't have money to get in, and Kurt Cobain, and all the people that were kind of getting blitzed by the money system. So, I guess I'll do one more poem. This is called The Correlation Between Revolutions, Weddings, and Funerals. It was written after seeing Michael Collins. She's running her hand over white wedding lace. He's staring at the barrel of a shotgun. She dreams of her wedding nights. He dreams of his country free and at peace. Both dreams dying. Both dreams dying. The fulfillment of desire is the death of that desire. And so it must be that dreams of love and freedom and peace birth death revolt and transcendence, till the heavenly bride and the earthly bridegroom wed, and these dreams of humanity give birth immaculate to themselves.
Thank you very much. Welcome back.
Right always.
Right always, our mini.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, come on. Step right up, folks. Want to grab yourself a front row seat and hold it on. We're going fast. You don't want to miss this. It's time for another exciting installment of the Clyde Always Show. With me, you're always clever, always handsome, always charming host Clyde. Always, and I ain't no common carnival worker. I am the Bard of the Lower Hades. And this is Joni Maloney, the Queen of the World.
Can you make it?
On a regular street in a regular town,
Another one,
there lived
another one.
little Joni Maloney,
That's good.
who would wake every day with a groan and a frown to a breakfast of cold macaroni. See, Joni's old mommy was not very nice. In fact, she was really quite awful, as she'd waste all her time on her mobile device and not make her daughter a waffle. And on Joni's birthday, while walking to school, she cried all alone to her noodles, ignoring the taunts from the bullies so cruel and the rich girls with miniature poodles. In class, Mr. Teacher was mean as a snake. His computer was too, not to mention. When Joni complained of a bad tummy ache, he locked the poor girl in detention. Then, there, Mrs. Principal played with her phone while Joni sat hands neatly folded. And whenever she shifted or muttered a moan between emails, the principal scolded. When, suddenly, in through the window there flew, on the back of a Pegasus pony, George Washington, wearing his uniform blue, and he rescued and flew off with Joni. Together they giggled their way through the sky, traversing across every ocean, while snacking on slices of hot apple pie and sipping down silliness potion. Then arrived in the land of the something to me's, where they plugged all the factory smokers. To the children they freed, they gave cherry tart trees and departed ha-haing like jokers. Returning triumphant, they fell with a crash and were greeted with hoopla and hollers, with presents and gifts and with cards full of cash. It was Joni's face there on the dollars. And George flew away into home Joni's shop when she thought that she couldn't feel gladder. Happy birthday, said Mommy. The iron is hot, and I'm nearly done mixing the batter. Aww.
Yeah.
Now I've got a Shakespearean sonnet for my sweetheart called Brittany Sonnet the First. All right. Her sparkling eyes ignite coyotes' cries, while raven bows the blackest night her hair, which lofty shaming eagle flits and flies on spirit dwarfing that of Mama Bear. Poor Poppy, brood so jealous of her pet, while Clover clamors for her gaze to meet, where lichen jumps to pad her every step. Almighty redwood trembles at her feet. Sienna hill feels second to her skin. Majestic mountain cowers to her curves. If not for her, would rocky cliffside grin? No other goddess dealing sunlight serves. Had she, cascading, not have washed me out, I'd feel as if my life were spent in drought.
Yeah. Bravo.
Hold on to your hats, because I've got a love poem of a much different variety coming at you.
Look out.
Which me and Royal, my typewriter, cranked out yesterday, so it's not fully in performance yet, but please, enjoy. This is Clyde Always Finishes What He Starts. One evening, barely midnight maybe, wifey asked with eyes alit, I wonder, could you, baby, eat my pussy for a bit? So chivalrous did I agree and smile warmly with my eyes while coaxing moans out with my free hand, pressed my face between her thighs. She blossomed open like a lotus, squirming madly where she lay, as nibbling I was scant to notice. Night had blossomed into day. Don't stop, she called, her breathing buckling. Yes, I answered, bowing meek. Though sore my jaw, I kept on suckling, never stopping all that week. I'm almost there, she kept insisting, bringing me about to tears as Down I'd been, my tongue a-twisting, better part of 20 years. Now, never doubt a man's persistence. Dying there upon that bed, I promised her I'd go the distance. I'd become the munching dead. They buried us with service fleeting, causing but a meager fuss. While underground her was I eating, little worms were eating us. Then eons passed, our bones were lusty, skull to pelvis just the same. Then flew a puff of something dusty. Finally, she fucking came. Thank you. How much time do I got left? 4 minutes? Okay. No time to spare. This one's going out to all of everybody here, all the artists in the whole Paris of the West and the world over for that matter. If you're doing it, it's coming down from above, and I'll stick to that till my dying fucking breath. Without any further ado, to all the creatives in this world, this is the origin of the gods. Once upon a time, in a wicked city just like this one, there lived a disgusting bum named Jimbo. Jimbo had tangled, dirty blonde hair, and his face was swollen up and purple, seeing as how he drank 1.5 gallons of rot gut moonshine a day, which he purchased in Chinatown for $0.25 a pint. Jimbo was very articulate, but he was also very horny. He'd regale any woman he saw with the finest poetics he could muster, but always to no avail, seeing as how he smelled like the city dump. When one day, while he was shooting up in the bathroom of a corporate coffee house downtown, a goat man appeared to him in the bathroom mirror, and the goat man said, "So says the phone behind the glass. If sex you seek to gain, go grab a rag and wash your ass, and comb that gnarled mane. When next you meet a foxy lass, you'll know you as James Vane." Then poof, the goat man disappeared, and James did as he said and walked out of that bathroom door, a disgusting bum no longer, and never, ever again, from that point ever after, he knew in his heart that he was in fact the most handsome poet who had ever lived. He spent the rest of that afternoon spouting verse to the rooftops until he came upon a dimly lit and deserted bar where the bartender was fast asleep and snoring loudly. So James walked right in and helped himself to a stiff drink, and he noticed against the far wall of the pool room a cabinet secured heavily with locks and with chains, and from within the cabinet came the sound of a gentle knocking. Sounded to James Vane like a plea for help, so cleverly he picked the locks with one hand while he snapped casually on cocktail olives with the other, then fell to his knees as the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen stepped out of the cabinet, looked down into his eyes, beaming sun spray out of the back of her head, which James noticed was beautifully adorned with none other than the pelt and the ears of a fox. She yanked his hair viciously but spoke softly as a butterfly, and she said, "I've been waiting for you, darling." And the words flowed freely from his poet's heart as he replied, "I want to fuck you." To which the goddess giggled and summoned her magic and snapped her fingers twice, dissolving a flimsy floral print dress and revealing a tuft of solid gold pubic hairs and a couple of daisies where her nipples ought to have been. Then right there on the pool table for 5 solid hours, they engaged in every insidious sex act ever invented, created a few new ones of their own as well, and they recorded all of it in a tiny leather-bound moleskin journal and fell fast asleep in each other's arms. They were awakened a couple hours later by a man with a clipboard who shook them hard, saying, "Get your asses up!" They looked around to find the bar packed shoulder to shoulder with beards and beanies and skinny jeans and neck tattoos. The man indicated a stage at the front of the room that was spotlit and set, and he shouted frantically, "Let's go! You only get 5 minutes up there! Come on, come on, come on, come on!" So they, in a sort of a daze, they walked naked, hand in hand, to the microphone and stared out into the eager eyes of the audience seated before them, and knowing not what else to do, they raised the leather-bound journal between them and cracked it open, and bang, the goat man burst through the swinging doors, bringing hurricane winds behind him, and he pressed the silver fiddle to his beard and saw a blast of fanfare, shattering every piece of glass in the bar, and then some James Vane and the foxy lass began to read as the fawn's harmonies wrapped them in a blanket of bliss, and they all three of them rose from the stage, and they smashed to the ceiling of the bar, and they continued to rise ever upward. The crowd sat dumb fucking founded in a moonlit puddle of their own tears as the MC called up in utter bewilderment, "Wait! Who are you guys?" And James Vane, almost to the brink of the heavens, gets the reply in an echoing sonic boom, "Fuck you! We are the gods!" Thanks for listening. Of the Clyde Owen Show.
Yeah, Clyde, go, baby, go! Karen Milan. Woo! Karen Milan. we got Brittany and Marty. No, we got Karen, then Brittany, then Marty, then Karen.
That was exhausting.
I can hardly believe I heard all that. So she's coming up now. And then looks like we'll be all right.
Karen, Brittany, Marty, and
Garrett.
Garrett.
Well, this is a little different tone.
You think?
Well, yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't have the vocabulary.
Oh, yes, you do.
Maybe not.
Yeah, you do. Oh, trust me.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, this has been a pretty horrific week with Harvey and Irma and now Maria. And so I did a little bit on Maria and on elephants and a song about Chicago tonight. So anyway, Maria, the most beautiful sound I ever heard. A name, a devastation. Harvey, Irma, Maria. Pounding fists of climate change. I want to be in America. The beautiful consumer, everything free. In America. For a small fee in America. No one left in Barbuda, all sheltering in Antigua for how long? Puerto Rico, a humanitarian disaster, while in Eastern Africa, famine stalks again. Refugees from war and climate change flee the screaming winds or scramble in the desert for sustenance. Huddle at borders, watch their homes collapse, while America continues to frack the fruited plains, threaten fire and fury on its global neighbors, bomb its way to regime change in a world devoid of shame. For how long, we ask? How long?
Good question.
Yeah.
Thank you. And this is elephants. No landscape was dearer to Wayne Lauter. This is just kind of telling you about in the savannah of southern Africa, and in particular, one corner of it, the Nisa Wildlife Corridor around the Ruvuma River in Tanzania. He just cherished it and was always trying to protect the elephants, and eventually he was killed. He was the only human, and even he was in ranger's camouflage, but he would listen to the voices of the elephants and lions, and that was what his life was, his community. The elephants, gentle giants, still amble through the savannah, the woodlands, forest, and brush, yet their lives are less safe since Wayne Lauter was shot for his efforts to save them. To protect their lives from ivory hunters, to protect them from devastation. For their ivory tusks, illegal to sell and remove, and yet still coveted and sold for enormous sums, perhaps their weight in gold, while the hunter and his corrupt agent continue to decimate endangered populations of elephants. Okay, so I thought I would end with something like, and this is, I love Chicago, lakes and theaters and Sullivan's architecture. I love Chicago, trains racing through the city, jazz at the pier. Meet me in Chicago next year. I love Chicago, looping Lakeshore Drive. At the Lyric, Samson and Delilah drinks at the Great at 5. Windy city, blue Chicago, how of those boats of the air. Snow time or summertime, springtime or fall. I love Chicago, that's all, that's all. I love Chicago, that's all.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's part I wrote some city songs for my musical about Georgia O'Keeffe, actually. So she spent a lot of time, so I've got one about Wisconsin and Chicago and New York. And of course, the whole second act is devoted to the Southwest. But yeah, she was an amazing artist, and she did really make a difference. She left her own mark on these cities that I've sung about. This one is New York. The flowering pear on the streets of the city. It's springtime in New York. The songs in the air, even Wall Street is pretty. When springtime fills New York. Miss Liberty strolls on Staten and Gandhi walks in Union Square. My heart wants to burst on Houston and First, for springtime is everywhere. Taxis blaring, tempers flaring, blossoms explode on the trees. Even the metro's impossibly retro, yet everyone still agrees. When springtime fills New York, the world all stops and smiles. The birds and the breeze play tag in the trees on Brooklyn's enchanted miles. Fifth Avenue is in bloom, the sun's in every room, and scraping the skies, the buildings fly by. They're dreaming of old New York, 'cause it's springtime in old New York.
Thank you, Karen.
Bravo, bravo. Brittany.
Whitney. Hello. Hello. Good to see you.
Alright guys, I got two for you. So this is called perspiration. The watch on her wrist says it is 10 to 6 in the morning, and she is constantly keeping track of the time. It is slipping and ticking and breathing for her to say goodbye. Tick, it is 5 to 6. Talk, hitting the breaking point. Tick, sinking into the foreground. Time is cracking the foundation she set before. Drip 1, drop 2, stain 3. What is left now and left behind to close the door, never to return again. Tick, tock, it is 6. Thank you. Alright, last one. It's called Written by a Muse. How amusing to be the muse of an artist. The flame set ablaze by a glance met by chance. How quickly it caught fire is as quickly as it burns. Through an entire field of dry weeds and flowers. As the debris and flame dances and prances with power and grace, then, as quickly as it came, it evaporates, without oxygen to sustain. But the flame isn't forever gone, it just burned through the body. The hollow silhouette that was once recognizable, that could move crowds with a gaze and set thousands in their place, is now the corpse of a muse. After the artist sways from body to body, what benefits a creative genius doesn't benefit you. You are an unmanned, stranded ship, deserted by your captain. You are discarded, spread out with paints and canvas, drawn by charcoal and acrylics, hung up on walls, in rooms and galleries. Those are your true friends. You begin to bond with those retired on linen woven fabric and ponder when you're next. Those whispers get awfully loud as they tell their story, and the artist wonders why you are always so quiet.
Thank you.
Marquis, you're up.
And now, Marty, give her a nice warm welcome. This is your first time here, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anytime we can serve this swerve or whatever that is.
Easy for you to say.
That's right.
Learn to listen. A sentence. The Army. I couldn't live. Leaving. Cost. 50 years of free speech. Nowadays, I'm more certain I'll live. 18 years left to go on my banned speech sentence.
Wow. Thank you.
Garrett Murphy.
Our clincher closer, Super Duper Bulldozer. I thought you were going to give us a second one or something like that.
That's it.
Okay, well, thank you for, and come back. You want to hear more? There's a mystery there. Garrett Murphy, our clincher closer, Super Duper Bulldozer, the closing act, the last word. A person who is famous and wonderful. And then we'll take care of these door prizes, as I like to say, designed with your mind in mind.
New piece is called Jim A. Hill Reveals a Character. In a classical line of American jurisprudence, the oath goes like this. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God? And certainly one brave soul named Jim A. Hill did precisely that when she revealed that a certain character was a white supremacist and surrounded himself with white supremacists. Colin Kaepernick vouched for her, LeBron James vouched for her, even Miss Texas vouched for her, and Miss America has a character's number too. Everybody knows that this certain character is indeed a supremacist who can't handle the truth. He whines and wails that Hill should be fired and cancels a proposed meeting with the NBA champion Warriors, as if the Warriors hadn't already nixed that idea long ago. For once, Steph Curry and LeBron James saw eye to eye on something. But according to the self-serving character, Jim A. Hill violated the new interpretation of the once solemn oath, where you see, according to the new rules of orders, not to mention the putrid fairy tales of supremacists from way back, were kind of predetermined by so-called natural selection to tell everything but the truth. Strangely, the character's usually overactive trap was uncharacteristically shut regarding Miss Texas and Miss America, but then, to the character, they are the only real Americans of the lot. Character, you can hire cheerleaders if you want them so bad, unless of course you offer your usual chump change. Bit of bad news coming up soon from what I've heard. This is called Why We Call Them the Blue Angels. Show-offs display in their hubris. They hijack the skies for the usual egomania of the ugliest of us, while they fancy themselves starring in some remake of Top Gun. All same moves end up feeling many shades of blue. So why the name of angels? Really, what did you expect for them to dub themselves? And this one I haven't read in a while, but it sounds like a fairly decent thing to close. It's called Nuts in Charge. The world is in need of so many a thing. The times they are waiting and they're crucial to boot. Our survival as we know it is open to question, yet the nuts are in charge of the cookie jar.
And the nuts are in charge of the cookie jar. And the nuts are in charge of the cookie jar.
And the nuts
are in charge of the cookie jar.
The bullies have been turned into the heroes of the world. McCarthy has come to it. The sentence treason. A crisis has unstruck and leadership is sore needed, but the nuts are in charge of the cookie jar.
And the nuts are in charge of the cookie jar. And the nuts are in charge of the cookie jar. And the nuts are in charge of the cookie jar.
The genocidal maniacs now have a field day. Respondents have because they feel they have nothing left to lose. Those who claim it for the victims of oppressors instead, for the nuts are in charge of the cookie jar.
And the nuts are in charge of the cookie jar. And the nuts are in charge of the cookie jar. And the nuts are in charge of the cookie jar.
Now, if you see the profilers are licking their chops of all the dark-hued and non-Christians on the menu, and you say it's okay to the Tenant Communion, then you must be a nut in the cookie jar.
And you must be a nut in the cookie jar. And you must be a nut in the cookie jar. And you must be a nut in the cookie jar.
Garrett Murphy. Well, he was our clincher closer, Super Duper Bulldozer. And now my co-host here is going to shuffle those cards so that I can randomly distribute these wonderful prizes. Just about to explain.
Prizes, 1/10 of a dollar. Step right up. Prizes.
This is Poems
never
and Plays.
Needs ironing. Never needs ironing.
Turns you into a 16-year-old Hindu boy.
Poems and Plays, Volume 3 by Robert Browning. A notebook full of lined paper for your lining pleasure. This is the Treehouse book.
Mr. Master.
And this is Mysticism for Beginners Poems. Writer's Dreaming. Thank you. Indigo Animal. It's a nice short story. Not too short, but yeah. And then, of course, there's the co-pilot, which David is the last word with Garrett Murphy just did. Choosing next week themes, which Melissa did.